Throughout heaven and earth, I alone am the glazed one. When you make a character, you better make him well, otherwise you run the risk of getting your character thrown on Fraudwatch. Fraudwatch is exactly what it sounds like. It's a term used on somebody who holds a position they shouldn't or was gassed up to be the man, or woman, we ain't sexist, but then doesn't even remotely live up to the hype. For example, if a character was anticipated to be one of the ultimate big bads of a story, and they were feared and revered as one of the most powerful, unstoppable forces to ever exist, yet once we as viewers finally get to see them, they get no diff or something similarly disappointing. I'm looking at you, Acnologia. Then yeah, you're on Fraudwatch. And oddly enough, these fraud type of characters are a bit more rare than they really should be, but let's take a look at a few of them. Shinji is arguably the biggest fraud in Bleach, though there are a bunch of them. The visors in general are pretty much all on Fraudwatch, but none of them get as much focus and attention as Shinji does. Former captain of Squad 5, leader of the visors, and just overall one of the cockiest characters in the show. Of course, when you take a captain level threat, give them hollow powers, and then give them free reign to do whatever they want, you'd expect a pretty beastly character, right? Well, let's list off a bunch of pros and cons of Shinji. He has a good shikai theme, that's it. He got punked by Ichigo. He doesn't stop getting punked by Ichigo, as this little girl also punks him. He got violated by Aizen after revealing his shikai and thinking he had the fight under control. And not only did he get physically violated, but he and his Zanpakuto got verbally violated. And he pulled up in 1000-Year Blood War fresh out the Squad 5 barracks as the reinstated captain, shows up on the battlefield with that smug expression thinking he's about to go crazy in this war, but then he gets absolutely decimated by Bambietta. And I mean eviscerated so badly that he didn't even get to finish his sentence before getting put in the dirt. Shinji Hirako, fraud. Poseidon, feared and revered by both humanity and divinity alike, considered the most fit for the title of King of all gods, as well as being hailed as the most fearsome of the Greek pantheon. He's been considered perfect, powerful, and exactly what a god should be. So when he decided to take the stage, everyone in the arena had written this fight off as a win for the god of the seas. Everybody except for one man, Kojiro Sasaki, known as humanity's greatest loser. I know, with a title like that you'd be a little thrown off, but the reasoning for that title is that he never actually won a fight in his life. He fights to get stronger, and once he figures out a surefire way to beat someone, he stops challenging them. But all of that changed on this fateful day when the proclaimed god of gods stepped into the ring to fight him. And oh boy, humanity's greatest loser put the god of seas on Fraudwatch quickly. Skipping the details of how the fight went, Poseidon ended up getting destroyed by the end, and even in death he refused to show even a smidgen of acknowledgement for his own weakness. To be considered the most perfect deity and one of the most powerful, he was certainly humbled in this fight after losing to his exact opposite, a guy considered to not only be a loser, but a filthy human. And to add more salt into the wound, this was both Kojiro and humanity's first win against the gods. Poseidon, fraud. One Punch Man is a parody anime, not a gag anime, but a parody on shonen. In a shonen, a character normally goes through some life-altering, chaos-raising, painfully excruciating training arc to become as powerful as they are. But then Saitama turns around and does some normal exercises and becomes the strongest to ever do it. And as opposed to shonen, where characters normally gain or alter their hair to show the fruits of their labor, Saitama instead loses all of his. The amount of jabs and parodies in this show are actually pretty genius if you sit down to actually think about them, but one of my favorites is this. In shonen, there are always the cool and hard side characters that get the coldest animation, the cleanest moves, and just the best side fights in the show. And they always come out on top just to further emphasize how clean they are. But when you take a show like One Punch Man which parodies things such as that, you end up with characters like Genos. Genos checks all the boxes. He's cool sometimes, he gets the coldest animations and cleanest moves. He also gets plenty of the most visually appealing fights in the show. But unlike a shonen where the cool side character always wins, Genos always loses. And it's comedy gold knowing that whenever Genos gets into a fight, he's gonna give you the performance of his life, but he's also gonna end up losing in the end just cause. So to be an S-tier hero and a clean side character, Genos is a massive fraud for never taking any dubs. Genos, fraud. There are other frauds in anime manga, but I refuse to go into manga territory, so comment more video ideas. Bye.